For more on this, let's bring in James McGregor. He is the chairman of APCO Worldwide's Greater China region. And Jim, let's talk a little bit about what Eunice was just saying. What do you think in terms of China, how they're doing in response to the pandemic? How do you think the economy's coming along? And what lessons do you think we can take out of that?
Well, what I'm hearing from my friends who are running companies in China, their businesses are actually pretty good right now. Better than anywhere else in the world for some of them because of the U.S. and Europe, still having somewhat closed economies. They're feeling pretty confident, and the government is really now wants just to goose the economy, wants to goose the stock markets, especially in Hong Kong in the wake of this national security law that has everybody very worried. So, I think the economy is okay, at least, but unless the U.S. and Europe, unless demand from the U.S. and Europe comes back before too long, the Chinese consumer can only, support the Chinese economy so deeply. So we'll see what happens. Everybody's kind of waiting and watching.
How much has demand come down, and what has that meant? Is there any way to try and get a measure of that we can believe or kind of put any faith in?
I don't have any numbers. I can just say that because, actually their businesses surged when they reopened because there was a lot of pent-up demand in China, especially for like automobiles, because people said, we don't want to be on public transportation. Let's get a car. However, from overseas, it basically died for a while, and now it's coming back, and logistics are coming back and all that. But I don't have any numbers to really put a fine point on that.
Hey, Jim, if you try and take a look at what it's meant for any of these companies, what you're hearing from the people you talk to on the ground there, we have seen a few flare-ups of additional pandemic or additional COVID coming back, some small outbreaks that have happened in Beijing and other places. How quickly were they able to tamp that down? What did that mean?
It's incredible. My own office in Beijing, a couple of my staff were in a taxi cab that went past that market that was tracked down through their phones by Chinese officials. They ended up in quarantine. There was one person in our office building that proved positive. They got all the film from the elevators and public spaces who interacted with that person. They were put in quarantine. What China's doing with this surveillance is they're pretty good at tamping down on this stuff. There has been some reaction. Well, there, especially with food and the salmon in that market, food imports are very hard to get through customs right now. But what I'm seeing really is a concern by foreign companies about being squeezed. First off, on the national security law in Hong Kong, they can be required to pledge allegiance basically to that law and be in favor of it. But what is that going to do to them back at headquarters? Meanwhile, they're being squeezed between the Trump administration and Xi Jinping with all these things that are going on. Nobody's very comfortable these days. They're all watching what's happening, and they're worried, and they're trying to plow through with their business and keep their heads down. But in the back of their mind, they're feeling very vulnerable.